been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, so joining us on the phone today, we have Pittsburgh Pirates organizational outfield Chase Murray. Chase, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
We're doing good, man.
Excellent.
Blessed to have you. Just biggest question I feel like in the room is how is your off season? I mean, it's kind of crazy what's going on with baseball. I mean, we had a holdout almost, and now there's 60 games. But I mean, unfortunately, there's not even really going to be minor leagues. So we have a bunch of questions to shoot at you. But I'm just curious how your off season's going.
Right. Yeah. Now you can basically call it an off season. But I mean, we at the beginning of March we're ramping up for a long season, first full season, getting ready for it. I mean. And then all of a sudden, after that first week, we get the call that we're going home, and then tried to stay ready. And then recently, kind of just found out, minor league season's canceled, and it's almost like you're in between off-season training and then also staying a little bit in baseball shape, just in case they call us out there for any instructional league or anything else.
Yeah. Now, just curious, is there any leagues that you can continue to play in, or are you basically they're making you just kind of stay home and just not get injured or anything like that?
Well, yeah, no, you hit on it at the end there. So basically, some of my friends that I grew up with here in Cincinnati, that are with other minor league organizations, they are able to kind of get in touch with them and then say, hey, I know an independent league team nearby my house. I'm going to play with them, get some innings, or my injuries covered if it happens, whatever have you. But I mean, personally, I don't feel that would be the right path for me. I think the best thing for me would just be continue to work on my body and then work on the things that the Pirates told me over the phone, or continue to tell me to work on every time we connect during this crazy time.
Yeah, man, it's
But
crazy.
Chase, after you get drafted, I mean, baseball to me, I coached it 20 years, but it's so confusing in the pros. When you get drafted, where do you go first? Because is there a minor league? I mean, not a minor league. Is there a spring training for you, or do you just go to a team and you start playing right away?
So you're exactly right. Baseball's more confusing than any other sport because most sports you get drafted, you go right to what we would call the big league team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny, family members and stuff, they'll say, oh, friends and extended family, be like, oh, you got drafted, when will you be in Pittsburgh? I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I
for
hope I
real.
do.
Or if you get traded,
But-
unfortunately.
Yeah. But, when you get picked, I mean, I got picked out of Georgia Tech, so I left Atlanta, and you go to where you got picked, you go to the stadium. So I went to Pittsburgh, PNC, and signed there. And then the next day, I got sent to Pirate City, which is a spring training facility, to do some physicals and kind of get back ready into baseball shape, because in between the college season and draft, there's kind of a little bit of a lull.
Yeah.
So, and then during that time, I was also recovering from an oblique tear that I still was kind of nursing. Ended up still getting drafted, so I was very thankful for that.
It's a blessing.
But yeah, it was. And then and then you go to Pirate City or whatever your team's spring training facility is. You kind of get in some inter squad games or simulated games to kind of get yourself back into it. And then typically drafted guys will go into a short season, which will start probably around late June, and then it ends early September.
It's a lot, man. That's a lot. I can get confusing.
So how much baseball could you actually, on a normal year without this COVID crap going on, how much baseball could you play in a full season? Because they have fall leagues, and don't they have Dominican leagues and all these other things? Could you play in all those as well?
Well, and so that, yeah, I mean, you could, but I think the more important thing is guys go and play in those winter leagues, and more so winter leagues, if they didn't get the amount of at bats that they were thinking they were going to get.
Okay.
So plate appearances are the biggest thing. That's your kind of your test for how you're going. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's
you're
okay,
fine,
man.
you're
It's
fine.
okay.
I apologize. But yeah, no, that's being at home too with all this Corona stuff.
Hey, no problem. Understandable.
But where was I?
We were talking about what would happen if it was a normal season. Would you go into a fall league down in Arizona, And you were talking about extra bats.
So the Winter League is for guys that didn't get to play appearances, and then the Arizona Fall League is typically your top prospects and guys that are spitting distance away from the big leagues. So those are the guys that are kind of being groomed into like saying, okay, you guys are the dudes that are going to be our future. So gear up, like this is the best of the best. Like these are the top prospects in baseball. But yeah, no, like the Arizona Fall League guys, like one of my best friends from college is Joey Bart, who is the number 1 or 2 prospect for the Giants right now. He's probably going to see big league time this year.
That's awesome.
But he did the Arizona Fall League after a full season. So that's, I mean, adding it up in my head, that's close to like 180, 190 games.
That's crazy.
That's got to be
That is
tiring
insane.
too, man. At some point, you got to think, man, I just want to go home. I mean, as much as I love the game of baseball, after a while, that's a lot.
Oh, I hear you. Like you said, you gotta love the game to do it. So
Yeah. That had to be nice, though. I mean, you grew up in Ohio, right? So I mean, Pittsburgh. I mean, that's not too far from home.
no. So like I said, I went to Georgia Tech, so I'm in Atlanta. And then when I was told that I'm going to PNC to sign, my mom was actually with me in Atlanta when I got drafted, but my dad was staying here to work because he's a doctor, so he couldn't exactly just pick his hours.
Yeah.
So he was able to do this small 4 or 5 hour drive to Pittsburgh from here. So yeah, it was nice.
That's awesome, man.
Now, when you were in college and you're playing, do you focus on the draft stuff? Do you get caught up in the numbers to see where you are as far as your rankings and stuff like that?
Especially playing at like a bigger school, like I feel like I'd be there's got to be pressure, playing at a bigger school, knowing that there's a lot of scouts possibly watching each game that you want to produce well.
Yeah, no. So my junior year, we had 7 people drafted on our team, and so we had a lot of scouts and everything. But my junior year, I started the season right before the season. I was being told I was going to be a 2nd, 3rd round pick if I just stayed healthy and just played my game. So I was like, all right, cool. So I go out there, and the first week or 2 goes fine, but then the 2nd week rolls around, and then I hit like an 0 for 10 spell, and I'm just starting to get in my own head. So then I'm overhitting, trying to fix something that's not broke. But then in doing so, I wasn't taking care of my body as far as stretching before I would go hit.
Mm-hmm.
So then I ended up tearing my oblique,
Man.
like 3 weeks into my draft year. Yeah. So the whole 2nd, 3rd round thing was kind of out the door when I tore my oblique, but ended up working out fine. Got really close with the Pirates scout at the time, and it turned out for the better, I think.
Hey, man, there's some people that get drafted in the later rounds, and they come up and they make some big impact. Kevin Pillar is a great example of that. He was drafted in the late rounds, and you never know, man. Stuff works out for a reason.
There's less pressure on you, I think, if you're drafted later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I like to go into the mid-level that I did, being a 13th round pick, even though I was hurt, was such a
It's a blessing.
testament to, I guess, my body of work before that. And I mean, it was later than I expected, but still much earlier than a lot of guys that had a full season to play and all this stuff. So I was very thankful.
Now, how was your experience, your first season? Obviously, in college, there's a lot of talent around you, but obviously being drafted in an organization, you're playing with the best. Everyone's a pro at that. I mean, they're not in the pro level, but everyone got drafted. They're good at their job. How was your experience with that?
Yeah, pro ball was different, not just because of you hit it on the head. Like the talent's a little bit better. Coming from the ACC, I pretty much saw everything there that I see in pro ball. It's more consistent, and I think one of the biggest things was just the culture shock, where you have 50% of the guys that are American, 50% of the guys that aren't from here. So you kind of have to ingratiate yourself into different cultures. Mm-hmm. And our locker room was extremely lucky because we had a bunch of guys that were just extremely kind, understanding, and all yearns to understand where they came from and their culture. And we had guys learn how to speak Spanish, and then them having us teach them English. And
that's awesome. That's
what
cool.
have you. So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
I think that's
now when you're playing down there, I think you were in the Appalachian League or something like that.
Yes.
When you're out there and you're playing, do you get a feel like I can see myself going to the next level from here? how was your confidence level
Almost-
as far
almost
as
like-
against the competition that you were seeing? Could you see yourself jumping up pretty fast?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody out on the field, that's part of it. Like, you got to kind of have that confidence that you're the best player on the field no matter what, and that you deserve to be, like, in your head, you got to kind of trick yourself. Even though you're going 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, next at bat, I'm going to be fine because I'm the best player here.
Yeah.
And sometimes that you get down on yourself, and it's easier said than done, obviously. But, yeah, no, the competition was kind of what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I rode some really high highs and really low lows, so I kind of learned that I can't ride the roller coaster of emotions because pro ball eats you up with that. So then once I kind of just calmed down and just took the game for what it was and just basically went back to ground zero where you just have fun playing, that's when I did my best out there.
Yeah. Now, with the MLB season having 60 games this year, do you see this season going full out, or do you see this season ending early? Because, I mean, not many people even thought baseball was going to start to begin with. I honestly don't even think they came to a deal. I think that they just forced the 60 games.
The thing that scares me the most is California just shut down completely again, and they're saying Texas and Florida could be following.
Wow.
If that happens, I mean...
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think what I mean, I'm a pro baseball player. I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah.
I think you guys are kind of on the right wavelength of being a little bit worried with Florida, Texas, and like being talks of shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're going to have to start at least, and then I guess we'll just see how it goes. But I think we will have a start. Like, we will have opening day. We will have baseball. It's just I don't know how long it's going to last.
I said a couple podcasts ago, I think if we do start, I think that they're going to have no choice but to keep going. They'll make adjustments with the rosters because at the end of the day, this is a business. And we saw what happened between the owners and the players. It all comes down to money. So I think once it starts, I just think they're going to be flexible with the rosters and they'll be allowed to make as many moves as they can.
Yeah, but I'm curious too to see when is the stopping point. Like, how many guys getting sick is going to be like, okay, enough's enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now,
I think there's going to be a lot of younger guys that get the opportunity through this too. So there's always a silver lining to find.
That's what
some
I
sort
said. A lot of guys
positivity.
getting the opportunity to jump up and I'm
100%.
intrigued how that works too. Like, they have a certain amount of guys up, and I want to know if there's like AAA guys or AA guys that are almost like on speed dial. Like, if a guy gets the corona or a guy goes down and they need some guys, they're kind of like, hey, like, are you ready to come up now?
Yep, that's my understanding as well. But I mean, I got my college roommate actually at the 60. He's in the 60-man roster with the Oakland A's.
wow.
And he was telling me that you get there to the park every day and you have to spit into like a tube. They have very like specific testing stations, and I don't know. It seems like a lot, but I'm glad they're taking the steps to do it just so we have some sort of sports and especially baseball back in our lives.
Absolutely.
Well, Chase, I got to ask you this question because a lot of my friends are Pirates fans. The Pirates, they have been known recently to, shave the contracts. They don't have too many big names left. They're like one of the lowest salaries in baseball.
A lot of trades.
One of my friends actually said if Chase is any good, they'll probably end up trading him. How do you feel about being in an organization like that? I mean, I think for you, I think it's a great opportunity because you don't see the big names like the Judges and the Stantons and the Yeliches and all them.
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head. I'm extremely lucky to be in this organization because there's so much opportunity for forward like growth, and I think your friend's kind of right with baseball. That's kind of how it works because you get used. If you're a good minor league prospect, you get used as a pawn in trades for winning now rather than winning later.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a priority guy and you end up showing that you're able to produce and the organization wants to keep you around, they will.
Wow, that's good, man. Now, I'm curious as to how it works when you get drafted. Your favorite team that you root for, is that out the window and you're now
Yeah.
officially a Pirates fan? Or, like, did you root for a team growing up?
So growing up, I was a huge Boston Red Sox.
Oh, man.
Where's the dump button? Where's the dump button?
We're big Yankees fans over here.
And then, like, as soon as I started to kind of grow up, and then after, like, I committed to college, I just kind of, instead of watching teams, I more so watched players, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's good.
So I became a fan of like individuals instead of teams.
Yeah, that's good. That's almost like, studying players and looking at highlights. I feel like every kid does that. I did that when I played high school ball.
100%. Yep.
Absolutely.
Now, Chase, I have a question for you. As a coach, I always told my players and my kids when I coached them, never think you're the best. There's always someone coming up behind you that's going to take your position from you, so always keep striving to be better. What do you work on? Even though you're a professional athlete now, what do you continue to work on to improve yourself?
So it becomes, as you get higher up in each level at college, high school, college, pro, the things that you're doing seem very small and minute, like as far as like swing stuff or simple changes to your throwing motion or how you are coming in on a ball from the outfield. The changes are so small, but they pay dividends in the end if you can master that certain thing, because there's always something you can do to get a little bit better today, like 1%, and it all adds up. So, I mean, you're here for a reason kind of thing, so I'm not going to end up changing my entire stance, swing, whatever. But if I get a text from a coordinator saying, hey, try this, of course I'm going to try it, because they know also that it's not going to be a huge change, but it's just something tiny, something that might click. And then if that something clicks and that happens to bring me to the big leagues, then I would be pissed if I didn't try that.
100%. I feel like as kids too, everybody hated hitting tee work, but as you get older, you understood that hitting tee work was a great feeling before a game.
Oh yeah, no, that's part of my routine, absolutely.
Now, you were at Georgia Tech. You played Wake Forest, correct?
Absolutely.
Do you remember a pitcher named Morgan McSweeney?
Yeah.
He's coming on right after
you.
Yeah, no. I think he was their Saturday guy my sophomore year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's with the Orioles now, so we're gonna get another inside scoop on the minors there, and which is very awesome. We were very intrigued as far as everything we've never seen this happen in our lives. So to see everything that's going on, and to get almost like an inside scoop, it's been awesome.
Yeah,
you're right.
For some reason, since we've been doing this podcast, baseball players have been the hardest people to get on. Like, we've had football players, we had UFC fighters, hockey players, the whole 9 yards.
Coronavirus, as bad as it has been, it's been a blessing for us.
It's been a blessing for us.
Hey, it's been a blessing for us too, man. I get to spend time with my family.
That's awesome.
I get to kind of dive into the Word of God and kind of just fix my body. And
absolutely,
it's been nice.
That's the best thing.
I want to ask you, as far as hitting goes, is it getting harder and harder to hit because you see these pitchers are getting taller and they're throwing faster? Is it harder for batters to adjust to the difference between these slow and these faster pitchers?
So the thing that gets the hardest, I mean, you can always kind of adjust the velocity. I mean, when you see 100, yeah, it's a little bit different than 90, but you can if a guy's just throwing 100 and it's just that speed and that timing, that never gives anybody fits. The thing that gives people fits is when he has a changeup that looks just like it and it comes 10 miles an hour slower.
It's tough. That's why it's the hardest game. That's why it's the hardest sport.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the guys that can really spin it and change their velocity through their different pitches, those are the guys that dominate.
Yeah.
And velo always helps too. I'm not downplaying that. 100's not easy to hit.
There's a kid, and I cannot we had Rajay Davis on the one night from the Cleveland Indians, and there's a kid that was drafted. I do not remember I just know his last name was Little or something like that. He's throwing 105 now, and they said by the time the season started, he would be around 108.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
But he's like 6
foot. I think I saw like on draft night, I saw a video of him on MLB Network, like from Twitter or something. And I mean, as hilarious as that is, that a Twitter video was the reason that a lot of people kind of got their eyes on him. But I mean, he deserves it if he's throwing 105.
But that same podcast, though, Raji actually said, if these guys can't throw junk, guys are going to catch up to it eventually. As fast as he throws,
100%.
Yeah, you're going to catch up to it.
But you know what? If you think about it, though, these pitchers are getting so much taller. The release point from where they're actually throwing from anymore. And could you imagine 105 miles an hour coming in?
You think about how crazy it is, though, how the average human being can even hit it, though. The amount of seconds you have to, relay all this to your brain to know when to swing and how close you are to the ball. It's crazy.
Chase, who's the one guy that you ever had to face that you're like, man, I'm sick and tired of facing this guy?
I mean, I faced Joe Boyle from Notre Dame, who threw 101. I mean, but he was at this time. I know he's gotten better now, but at this time he was still trying to find that release point, so he was a little bit wild.
Oh,
But,
man.
yeah, so that was an uncomfortable at that.
That was definitely uncomfortable, on the edge of the box, uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I think guys that kind of – I hated facing my one of my college teammates in intersquad. His name's Connor Thomas, and he's not somebody that's going to light up a radar gun. He'll sit around 90, 91, but he's a little lefty. He's probably an inch or two shorter than me, so he's about 5'10", and he weighs like $180 now, but he was like $160 in college. And he throws like sidearm lefty, just crafty, and he just could put it wherever he wanted, and I could not hit it against him ever.
And you bat lefty, right? So the lefty versus
Yeah,
lefty,
so
that isn't the best.
Yeah. No, he dominated me.
Well, Chase, we thank you so much for giving us your time today, man. We really appreciate the inside scoop with everything you've given us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. We'd love to have you on again sometime, maybe when baseball's actually back to normal, but we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, call me anytime.
And hey, I'll tell my Pirate fans to lighten up a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
All right, man. We hope you and your family stay safe, man. Just have a good rest of the year.
All right, you guys too. God bless.
God
God
bless.
bless, man. We'll see you. All right, so that was Chase Murray from the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. It was a blast having him in. Like I said, we have the inside scoop basically to what some of these minor leaguers are dealing with. We're about to have another athlete on, like we talked with Chase.
I think it's a blessing to get drafted by a team that absolutely, I don't want to say sucks, but
Just not a lot of big stars.
I think it's a great opportunity for these guys to jump, just like the guy that's coming on next, McSweeney. I mean, he's with Baltimore.
A lot of talent there.
This is a great opportunity for these guys to get at bats, to jump up and make a name for themselves. That's why I was so interested in, like, what's the process when you're down there? You know, what's your feel? Do you feel like you can jump up quick?
Almost like you look around, like, I'm better than these guys.
You know, I play MLB The Show, and I talk to my agent all the time. That's what I wanted to ask him. Do you have an agent that you talk to? Is there someone in your head filling
like
you?
saying, hey, like, you're doing good. Like, you keep it up, you're gonna jump a level.
We'll have to ask Mason Morgan this.
I wonder if they do talk to you, or you just kind of get like a, hey, like they're moving you up. Like the skip calls you in and says, hey, we're moving you up.
Yeah, because, I mean, it would kind of suck to be down there in the low A and you're just playing and playing and playing and you don't hear anything from anybody. Yeah. Like, are there scouts down there? Are there team officials down there? Someone that's always chiming in your ear and saying certain things to you.
What he said, too, how when he was at Georgia Tech, you had 7 guys that drafted the year before you, and then you have people saying, you're going to be a second or third round draft. So you have that in your head. There's scouts there. You go for 10. I'm a mess. If that's me personally. Because now I'm like, fudge, man. Like, I can't get a hit. I have scouts looking at me. I'm predicted to go second or third. I ain't going there no more. Like, I'm probably going to drop. Baseball is a big psychological game.
Oh,
that's the right word, right?
Psychological, yes.
Yeah. Dude, that messes.
What they say, it's 85% mental?
Yes. Something like that. Because it messes with you. Because as they say, don't tell yourself you're in a slump. But that's all. You think about all that pressure on you. I want to get to the pros. There's scouts. Second, third round. That's a lot on your shoulders, man.
Well, speaking of baseball, Chapman, he has the coronavirus, and he tested positive, but he was around the team for 7 days before he got his results. So I'm expecting more Yankees that test positive. We're about a week away from baseball kicking off. And that's what's going to be interesting because the rosters go from 60, they have to get cut down by the time the season. I think halfway point of the season, they got to be down to like 30.
That's what sucks, too, is you're playing on these teams, man, and then Chapman got the coronavirus. Like, imagine you're going to Gardner, Chapman got the coronavirus. And then you're like, man, dude, I was just hanging out with Chapman. That means I probably might have it, but, like, hopefully, like, I don't, like, show symptoms.
Well, I heard an interview with Joey Gallo. He had it, and he's fine. No symptoms, no nothing. He's feeling great. But Freddie Freeman has it. I heard he's in bad shape.
Really?
Freddie Freeman has it, and there's someone else that has it. I mean, I haven't heard about DJ LeMahieu. I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't heard anything about Luis Sessa. Like,
I thought I heard. Was it you that told me that like they didn't even really know if DJ had it? Like he was around somebody. But I think we're starting to see what was going through these players that are opting out. You have family, young girl. I mean, obviously they're not hanging out with their families, but it's like, is it worth it? As much as I love the game of baseball.
Well, I heard about Buster Posey, why he's not going.
2 premature babies they're adopting. I told you that on the podcast.
Yes.
That shows how much you listen to me.
Yeah.
But seriously, though, you think about how hard this decision goes into something. Like, you love this game of the sport, and you are a starter on a team. Sure, if I sit out, I might lose my starting job. Some guy might come and play better than me.
Well, Mike Trout has a huge decision to make. He's got a newborn baby on the way. Do you risk going and playing and getting sick, getting a chance of getting the virus? Because let's face it, they're gonna travel.
Yeah.
You know, or do you stay home with your wife and go see the miracle of birth?
What's tough too, what's easier for Trout is Trout can be like, okay, if I sit out 60 games, I'm not gonna lose my job. He's one of the best in the baseball, top 3 easily. You could say he's the best baseball player in baseball right now. And if I'm him, I'm looking at these players that are getting sick right now, like Freddie Freeman, like LeMahieu, like Chapman, all these players, and I'm like, no, I'm good. Especially if that's my first baby, and I haven't seen any of my kids born. I'm not playing baseball.
Well, you see, we were talking to Chase that there's 135,000 deaths since Memorial Day weekend of the coronavirus. The state of California has completely closed down again. Restaurants, bars, sporting events, churches, everything is closed down again. Texas is leaning towards it, and so is Florida. What's going to happen with baseball? You know what I mean? And now there was a story today that 2 players, one from Sacramento and one from Houston, already violated the rules down there in Florida. They went outside the bubble. And now they have to quarantine for 10 days.
Why can't people just listen?
There's also an Instagram girl that was already bragging, saying that she was inside the bubble, that some NBA player invited her in.
Dude.
You know, these people don't realize
It's not a joke.
it's not. And they ought to be fined.
Well, we saw what the Blue Jays said. You can
Yeah.
get fined $700,000 or possibly jail time.
You're risking your life and your team's life over something stupid. Like I think the one guy went outside the bubble because he ordered food. You're in a 5-star hotel with with chefs.
I would be taking my PS4 down there, playing the show, playing some Xbox, Netflix, ordering some food.
All right, do you have is Morgan coming on yet? Did he message you?
He's gonna call us around 8 o'clock. That's the last update I got.
And he has her number?
Yeah, he has our number.
All right.
But I don't think baseball's gonna finish. I don't.
I think if it starts, it has to. I really do. I think if it starts, it has to start. It has to keep going. I don't think they're gonna shut it down. And
I can't imagine how football's gonna work. I mean,
well, football's in the driver's seat. Football can wait.
football can wait. The cool thing is, did you see the Oakley came out with the face mask? But there's people like JJ Watt tweeting out like, clearly Oakley has never played a football game in Texas. Would that affect your breathing? I mean, your whole bottom of your helmet is open. You know how you have your standard helmet and they have the visor?
Why don't they just give them stormtrooper helmets?
That'd be pretty cool. But you know the visor, right?
Yeah.
So what it is the visor also has a plastic piece that just goes down and cover. It doesn't go under your mouth. It's just protecting your mouth. The Browns are finalizing a deal with Myles Garrett, 5 years, $125 million, and that kind of blows my mind after everything that happened.
And
Like,
what did Chris Jones get? 5 years, $85 million.
I thought it was 4. Was it 4 years? I thought
4 years, 4 years, $80-some million, 60 guaranteed.
it's $85 million, $60 million guaranteed, 4-year deal.
And the Dak
But Myles
deadline's
Garrett,
coming
after
up.
everything that happened, I'm surprised that they got that deal. They're saying that. I was listening to Pat McAfee today, and they said Kansas City won that deal with Mahomes
Yeah.
because every year that he gets paid, there's going to be other quarterbacks that pass
But
that.
I told you that deal. Every year he's guaranteed that money for that year. So there are ways out of that for that contract for the owners.
Yes, there is.
He's never gonna see that whole deal. Like by the year 2025, they can restructure that deal. The DAC deadline is tomorrow at 3:00.
They're asking the big question: is Jerry Jones gonna
Is he
nudge,
gonna
and
cave?
is he gonna give the contract? And
My thing is I think you have to. I think you have to give him the 4-year deal wherever he wants because it's going to lower his cap hit to like 20-some million instead of the 31 million. So if the salary cap does take a tumble next year, if Dallas don't get the deal done, they're screwed next year.
it's funny too because you have Mahomes who signed a 10-year deal, better than Dak.
It's actually a 12-year deal. There's 2 years left
Yeah,
on his
better than Watson. It's like Dak doesn't even want to sign a 4-year, 5-year deal.
No.
And they said Mahomes signing this 10-year deal was him being also a good player because it gives them room to sign other players. He has 10 years now. They can also give money. They gave money to this guy. Now it comes down to who do you want? Do you want Kelsey or do you want Tyreek Hill? And Pat McAfee asked Josh McCown the question, would you – oh, this might be our guy now. All right, so join us on the phone now. We have Morgan McSweeney, drafted by the Baltimore Orioles. Pitcher, how you doing, man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for me on.
Yo,
so
Morgan,
pumped.
before you called, we were actually talking about the football contracts that are going on, and,
Yeah.
and how ridiculous it is that some of these contracts are where they're going. I mean, Dak Prescott, he could easily be making, I don't know.
Now, do you watch football? Just curious.
Yeah, diehard Patriots fan.
Oh,
Oh,
my God. This just
God.
keeps getting worse and worse, man. I don't know if we needed to have you on tonight or not.
Oh, geez.
But what
What are you guys, Steelers?
No. Cowboys and Saints.
Oh, Eagles?
No, man.
Oh, my
no.
God.
no.
Outside of Philly or not?
So
Oh, that's
we
better.
we do
That's
root
better.
we do root for the Sixers or Flyers, but we despise the Eagles. Too many Eagles fans here.
Yeah,
man.
I'm a
Okay.
Cowboys fan, and Tyler's a Saints fan.
I'm a big Saints fan.
All right.
So I'm
right.
excited.
But
Now-
what do you think of like a player like that he's basically in the driver's seat? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. I think, especially in football, quarterbacks just can command so much money as opposed to other sports where it's like that's just such a position of need, and there's such a handful of guys that are really game changers there. That
oh yeah.
I mean, it's sort of in the way that baseball money's just going up. I think quarterbacks in football are just going to command so much money in the future. I mean, similar to what Mahomes just got.
Oh yeah. Now I am very intrigued because I think you are the first Patriots fan we've ever had on. So you have
first and last.
you you probably have one of the most saddest off seasons with Brady obviously leaving.
Oh, come on. I don't know if it's sad. We got Patriots South now.
I mean, listen, you got 6 Super Bowls and then you get Cam Newton. Now how do
If anything, I got two teams to root for now, the Bucks and the Patriots.
That's
It's a dream
true.
come true.
Now listen, I'm a Saints fan, so if I hear you say you're going to cheer for the Bucks one more time, man, like, this is
well, that's a good question. Who do you think's going to do better? Tom with a new team with all those weapons, or do you think New England's going to rise to the top again?
I mean,
I couldn't tell you, but I've had this conversation with my dad before, and we've said if it ends up being like a Bucks Patriots Super Bowl, I genuinely think I'd be rooting for the Bucks. I think you got to go Brady. I think there's a lot of people up here that would say the same thing. As much as I love Belichick, I think the best way for it to go is Brady win a ring in Tampa, and then maybe Belichick win a couple more after he retires.
Now, do you think Cam will play, or do you think they're going to go with the guy that young guy they like?
I hope so. I hope he does. I hope he's healthy and tears it up because I think that'd be pretty exciting.
I think he's
kind
got-
of a breath of fresh air, something a little different. Obviously, he's never going to live up to sort of what Brady
Oh no.
his status in New England, but
He actually just came out and said that. He said, Brady, what he did, that's him. He said, but McDaniels, I can run a lot of different
I
stuff
know
that Brady
and
can't do.
a lot of people didn't like that either. But I think that fires you up a little bit. Something
Yeah,
fresh.
got a huge chip on his shoulder.
I'm surprised Bill didn't give Cam number 12.
I think 12's taken by Hoyer.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Just to throw
I think
salt
he
in
should
that
put-
wound.
Yeah, put that on the back burner for a little bit. Maybe put that number down for a little bit.
I don't think you can give somebody. I think you need to retire that number after.
Probably.
After
Maybe
everything that's happened.
wait till he's done playing. But yeah.
Now you got to see New England firsthand. Everyone's saying Brady's done. He don't have the arm. He's lost it. I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks in football. He doesn't take a lot of hits. He can
Besides
throw
Drew
the ball.
Brees. Besides Drew Brees.
Okay, shut
I
up.
mean, if you look at his numbers, they're pretty similar to when he was winning Super Bowls his first few years in the league. You know what I mean? So I think he definitely he's just so smart, right? He keeps the mistakes low, and I mean there'll be a little more room for error this year if he's getting the ball to some of those guys he has down there. He's got so many weapons. Just let him run with it. But I mean, if they can play half decent defense and not make a ton of mistakes on offense, I don't see any reason why they couldn't make a run at it. That division is tough though, so who knows?
Yeah, that division is tough. Now, before we get into some baseball, I have a very big question to ask you. Now, if you had a pick between Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers, this is a very important question for you here because the hang up button's real close.
It's on my side. You're safe. It's on my side.
I think you're gonna like it. The Saints and Patriots have always had that kind of weird relationship. They're always doing stuff preseason, and they always seem to get along. And I don't know, there's always something about that Rodgers Brady conversation, similar to like the Manning Brady. That's like you kind of it's like just being a Patriots fan, you resent Aaron Rodgers a little bit. You know what I mean?
I hate him. I just people always want to say he's better than Breeze. I'm like, how? Like I get it. They both have a Super Bowl, but I feel like Breeze has just accomplished so much in record books.
Yeah.
It's just
You know what?
I mean, it's a close margin for sure, but
yeah.
You know, he's smiling as he's talking to you because, you know, he just loves the fact you guys are talking about Breeze. Because
we had to bring it there, huh?
every time we talk about him, I'm always saying Breeze is washed up. He's not.
Or
And
that-
Michael Thomas is Mr. Slant. You know,
He's the same way though. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes, which
He
is
doesn't.
like
He
if you have
doesn't.
talent around you, that's all you can really ask for. Not everyone's going to be able to just throw the ball a million miles in the air like
Yeah.
Mahomes or.
Now, how has your off season been? Obviously, there's been a whole crap load of stuff going on this season.
Yep.
Baseball was practically shut down, and now we're going to a 60-game season. How has your off season trying to stay prepared for maybe even like anything that happens? How's that been
Yeah,
going
for
for
sure.
you?
It's been a little crazy, definitely, especially early on when it was tough to just get places where you needed to get the work in. You know what I mean? Places with equipment or linking up with catchers in a safe way. But I mean, the other angle of it is like, where do I want or need to be right now? What are the expectations for whether we're going to play this year? Should I just be logging innings to try and kind of simulate a season? So yeah, there's a lot of question marks in terms of we'll have to see how Florida and Arizona bounce back if they can get minor leaguers down to the facility this fall. But you know, basically the Orioles have done a really good job of staying in touch with us and keeping us on our schedule, making sure we don't burn out, to kind of keep some gas in the tank for if we do get something going this fall.
Yeah.
And just staying ready, getting your work in. The big thing they say is like, you're not going to have a whole lot of opportunities in pro ball at 2022 to have reps where there's no repercussions, where you can go out and throw live ABs to someone and rip, you know, sliders on 2-0 counts and don't worry about the result, right? There's no stats getting put up right now. So it's an interesting opportunity to get some work in and really put yourself in a good position for next year. But at the same token, I mean, there's going to be guys that just don't have the facilities to stay ready, and some guys are going to lose out on a summer. So
That's
who
true.
knows? It'll be an interesting 6 months from here to kind of see where things go, especially with the season starting up soon. Hopefully they can keep everybody healthy and play the 60 games.
is there any chance at all that you could still get called up? I mean, because with the way the COVID's going and people are getting it, are they expanding rosters?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Just coming from the draft last year and being a late round guy and being in the lower levels, it's probably a little out of the question. There's guys that are a little more polished within the system. You know what I mean? In the upper levels that'll get the call before, but you never know with the taxi squad. We still haven't filled our taxi squad, and whatever direction they end up going with that, whether it's, you know, prospect heavy or signing free agents that can contribute a little more this year, you never know. And then obviously there's always the question of a Florida or Arizona fall league this year that you just kind of have to see how those states bounce back from all this, whether it's going to be safe or not.
Now, putting the numbers up that you put up last year, which was very good. Very good. I just got to applaud you for that.
Appreciate it.
Does it give you a little confidence knowing that you're in an organization that doesn't have that great of an MLB team right now? There's not many big names on that team. Does it give you the confidence knowing, you know, I might be able to get up there in a year or two?
I mean, it's tough to tell the way the big leagues kind of turn over year to year. I mean, teams can look completely different 2-3 years down the road, you know what I mean, depending on how guys develop or who you trade for or whatnot, how big leaguers evolve. So it's kind of tough to look up, because for all we know, you know, those guys in the big leagues for the Yankees right now could be playing for someone else on a big contract or vice versa. So big league teams turn over so much, but I think the status of the Orioles minor leagues right now, they have a really good development team and people that really know what they're doing. So I feel like I'm in good hands with them.
That's good,
Now,
man.
Morgan, I wanted to ask Chase this, and I totally forgot. But I want to ask you, like, when you're down there pitching in the lower levels, is there someone in your ear, whether it's a coach, whether it's a scout, whether it's an agent, anyone, are they giving you insight of what they're hearing or whether you're going to move up or what you need to work on?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, from my experience at least, I can't speak for other organizations, but the Orioles were really upfront about kind of where you are. I got promoted late season to the playoffs to Delmarva and Low A, and they kept me in the loop with that in terms of, like, you know, a week in advance. They were like, hey, you're probably going to be pitching a little later than the other guys here are. And then, yeah, depending on your agent and sort of how much you want to be in the loop with that stuff, you kind of find out what the decision makers are thinking and whatnot. But yeah, they keep you in the loop pretty good in our organization, at least, where
Now,
you're at, what you need to improve on, that kind of stuff.
now, when you go up to a different level, can you see the change in the quality of the play of the
Oh
game?
yeah, I definitely could. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, I mean, the series, I was there for 3 games. We were playing the Rangers affiliate, and I mean, I don't think on either side of the ball there was a pitcher that didn't go out there and touch 98 or 99. It was like
Wow.
it was a big jump
What do you clock at?
from short season. I've been up to 99 this off season.
Whoa,
I was
man.
3 to 6 this past year, but hitting the weight room hard and just working on stuff this off season. So
Now,
it's a good time to add some velo.
is that an exciting feeling knowing that you've been working hard in the gym and you go out there and you get clocked and they're like, man, you just hit 99. And you're like, wow,
Yeah.
man, like I'm one away from hitting 100.
Definitely. Especially where we're at now, where you don't always have access to a radar gun. So, there's weeks that go by where you're kind of just feeling it out. Versus when you're in season, obviously every scoreboard in the country has a radar gun at pro ball, so you're constantly getting feedback on that. But it's definitely fulfilling to work on something for a couple weeks or try something new, and then
That's
hop on
awesome.
a radar gun and pop big numbers and kind of feel
You know-
like you didn't just waste a couple weeks away.
The thing that drives me nuts, and I coached for like 20 years, the thing that we could not touch was we could not touch a slow pitcher with junk.
Oh yeah,
That was our Achilles heel. We could never do anything, and every time we saw it, our batters always wanted to go up and hit for the fence. And
yeah,
we just had a guest on last week, and I said it seems like this is the new norm. Pitchers that are 6+ foot tall throw almost 100 miles an hour. What is the chances that we see it go back to the old days, like a Greg Maddux, where you see a guy that throws 87 with a lot of junk, like a Greinke? Greinke's probably our only pitcher left that doesn't throw. I mean, he doesn't throw super hard, but he throws like 7 pitches.
Throws a lot of junk.
I think the big thing is, I mean, you could see it in college a lot. When I was at Wake, it seemed like every Wednesday we'd play a mid-major team that threw a lefty kind of junk baller at us.
It's
and he
always
would
a
just, like,
lefty, too. It's always a
just
lefty.
astound us. Yeah, it was like couldn't do anything. We'd rip people throwing 95 on the weekends, but Wednesdays like we couldn't put up a run. But I think that's just a little tough in pro ball. I mean, hitters are so polished and so advanced, and I think a big thing with guys like that is a guy like Greinke, who early in his career was throwing low, mid, upper nines to get his foot in the door and get the money he did coming into pro
Yeah.
ball. And then obviously he's just so good that he adapted and he knows he doesn't have to do that because his stuff's so good. And then dudes like Maddux who just have like hyper everything, moving to every part of the plate, puts it wherever he wants. I think him and Kyle Hendricks, like there's not a lot of guys that can command the ball with that kind of movement at that
There's
velocity.
Not, yeah, there's not.
So it's tricky to sort of project that, but who knows? I mean, 10 years ago, I don't think you would have thought the amount of guys throwing 100 in the big leagues right now would
That's
exist.
crazy.
Well,
So for all we know, there could be a whole next generation of dudes dotting up with really good movement.
I remember being young like you guys, and you saw guys that threw knuckleballs, they threw all this junk. And, Doc Gooden came out, and Doc Gooden was the first one to hit 100 miles an hour. That was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, he's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Now it's like,
I think
Jesus,
the
everyone
average-
throws that.
I think the average in the majors is 97 now.
Yeah, I
Now-
mean,
Yeah,
Now,
it's climbing.
do you focus yourself more as a fast pitcher, or do you like to throw your junk a lot?
I was almost 50-50 slider fastball last season.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, is your slider a lot different in velocity compared to your fastball?
Yeah, my fastball, I mean, it was anywhere mid-90s. Last year's slider was sort of 84, 88-ish,
Man.
depending on how you're manipulating it.
That's dirty.
So I think especially when you're throwing hard up in the zone and then you can rip something off that looks the same, tunnels the same, and get it out of the zone, you can't get hurt there if you're putting
Yeah.
it out of the zone.
I'm
so.
assuming those are your two favorite pitches to throw right there, fastball, slider.
It is, yeah. This offseason, though, we've been working on, I mean, it's a good time to add some pitches. So I've always thrown a changeup, but not really featured it a ton. But I've been
Yeah.
changeup's getting good. Been throwing a big 12-6 that I'm liking. I'm excited to hopefully throw it against batters sometime soon, but we'll see.
And when
good time.
you said you've been working hard to get to your velocity, like, are you lifting heavy, or is it more like what kind of workouts go into a pitcher trying to
Yeah.
get velocity on themselves?
I mean, in terms of lifting more weight, I've sort of plateaued in terms of not trying to chase huge numbers.
Yeah.
But I think I'm at like a good strength base. It's more just like adding that functional strength on the mound. It's like, how can I equate more of that of that force on a deadlift or a squat
Yeah.
onto the mound to sort of add that.
That's good. That's good.
Long toss and just launching it, seeing how far in the air you can get it, that kind of stuff, and then figuring out how do I get that type of energy a little more condensed on the
So you're
mound.
telling me if I long toss a little bit more, I might be able to hit 98.
I think so. I think that's the key.
Well, Morgan, as a pitcher, what pisses you off more, an umpire with a bad strike zone or a guy that hits a home run and backflips?
I love the bat flip. I think that's fine.
I think it's cool. I mean, hey, they got you.
I really do. Yeah, I think if you've seen those videos of some of the summer ball stuff going on right now, there was a video of Lindor taking Clevenger deep and doing a somersault in the home plate.
I did see
like
that.
if that pisses you off that much, that's you. Like, good for you. But I mean, I think for every one against you, you're gonna get 10 of your team hitting off other guys throughout the week. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like,
I mean, hey, if they got the home run, I mean that's on you. You know, he got you.
yeah.
Would
no
that make
kidding.
you? Would that make you mad? Like if a Batista hit a home run, stood there, and flipped his bat, or
I
like
don't think
that
so.
deep?
I don't know.
I
I
s-
don't know that it's really ever happened to that degree type of thing to like. Plus, I feel like I watch the ball a lot more than I kind of stare down the batter, so maybe I wouldn't notice it. But I don't.
Yeah.
I'd be more angry at myself out there.
Yeah,
than
because I was gonna ask, you know,
someone else.
big time game. Like, I don't think a bat flip would really make me mad. I think if you had one of those moments where they stood there and like glared you
maybe
down,
that would. Yeah, maybe that would.
that and then did a
Slot or
slow
something.
bat flip,
Like
that
I
would
just,
make me mad.
I just seen that on
Yeah.
YouTube. I just seen the YouTube where they had brawls, and Dietrich from Cincinnati hit one off of the Pirates,
Oh, that was good.
and he just stood there and watched it until it went over the fence.
That was good.
Yeah.
See,
Maybe
yeah.
you might be running this back in a couple years, calling me out for being a hypocrite. But
Man, listen, when you get to the pros in a year and a half, we'll happily have you on again.
Well, hey, how do you feel like now? Like when you're a pro, you're a professional athlete. You come into the Orioles. Do you automatically jump into the hatred for the Yankees?
I mean, it's tough because I mean, it's like, I mean, obviously I grew up being a Red Sox fan, so I've kind of been bred with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's just everything. It's like, as soon as you slap that Orioles shirt on or that logo on, it's like, it's almost like you feel like you're a part of it. You know what I mean? Like you see Cal Ripken highlights, you're like, God, that's sick. Like that kind of stuff. It's like you become an instant fan.
Yeah.
Like almost a diehard.
Now that you've said that, I asked this to a couple people. Obviously, you said you were a Red Sox fan. Going in, getting drafted by the Orioles, is that out the window, and now you're officially an Orioles fan?
It was like, as soon as I heard the name of the organization, it was out the window. Yeah, for sure.
So,
it's
like-
amazing how it flips like that. Yeah, it's really like there was no
thought.
middle ground. Yeah, it was
That's
like
crazy.
done.
So if they
Yeah,
go to the
as soon as
World
you-
Series, like you're not even gonna like just turn it on and just like cheer them on.
No, it's over.
Wow.
It's like going to college somewhere. Like I was a BC fan growing up, but as soon as I got to Wake, it was like when we would play BC, that was the team I hated the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it almost turned into like a rival. That's crazy. That's
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of this 60-game season? You think it's gonna happen, or you think it's gonna end?
I hope so. I think it'll be pretty exciting.
So do I.
With sort of every game hanging in the balance, and I think there's, you could see some freaky Cy Young winners or MVPs this year. I think it's a cool opportunity. I hope it does. I think there's a way to do it safely.
Yeah, I think they're taking
but I
really
mean-
good precautions for it.
Yeah, but I think some of it's outside of people's control. If someone like Trout or in the NBA, if someone like LeBron got it, I don't really know what you do. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, but
just got to hope for the best. Hope guys are taking it seriously, which I think they are.
I think I think this is going to be excellent though. I think this is going to be an awesome.
Anybody can win.
Because you think about it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
definitely.
I keep saying it's like it's the All-Star break and everyone's tied for first place.
I know. Yeah, it hasn't been an August where there's not a single team eliminated from playoff contention.
We even made fun of the Orioles the other podcast.
Oh yeah. I have
Let me hear
to.
it.
Like we said,
the
because-
over/under for Vegas was 22 wins for the Marlins in Baltimore, and I said I'd put $1,000 that they don't win 10 games.
No, but I didn't say that. What
But
I
here's
said.
the thing with it. So if you watch the Dodgers summer ball game the other day, their inter squad, they had basically their whole starting lineup with, I forget who was pitching for them, but it was one of their starters against a prospect and basically a prospect team, and they lost 2-1 in 7.
Well, that's what I said. I said the Yankees starters are losing to the bench. And I said to him, though, against the Orioles, I said, you never know. I said you could go out there and the Yankees could start off ice cold, and the Orioles could have some prospects come up and they start off red hot.
Exactly.
There's
And
only
it's all about preparation. Who's been seeing live at bats?
Yes.
Who's built up? If you're
Yes.
built up to 50 innings versus, I know some guys that are pretty big names that
Yeah.
didn't throw bullpens this offseason, guys I work out with or know. So
And there's
I
only
mean, I
60
think they'll
games.
still be fine, but yeah, exactly. You
So,
never know.
yeah, if
Someone
you
gets
win,
hot
you
for
win
a
like
week, even.
25, 30, you can make that wild card.
I think the wild card you're going to need at least 33 wins or more.
Yeah, probably just over the 500 mark. Yeah.
But the thing is I think with the Yankees, the problem with the Yankees is there's too many home run hitters. You know, too many. And you look at Judge, you look at Stanton, you look at Sanchez. There's a lot of strikeouts combined between the three of them.
Yeah.
So
who knows though? If pitchers aren't ready and they're leaving stuff in the middle, you know what I mean? Feeling out the zone.
That's true.
It might be some football game scores.
The big question is going to be is what baseball are we going to use this year? Because like the ball that they used in
They
the
changed
season
it twice.
and the ball
last
they
year.
used in the playoffs are two different balls.
That's true.
I know. There's a ton of question marks. Yeah.
Now let me ask you something here. Do you watch a lot of the pro baseball?
Yeah, 100%.
So-
I love watching like pick a favorite pitcher out and find it on MLB TV. Watch that game for sure.
I just wanted your opinion real quick. We're big Yankees fans here, and we always have a strong debate about Gary Sanchez.
Okay.
And our biggest thing is Gary, great arm, has a lot of hype, but I just
Sucks at defense.
sucks. He's been struggling at defense, and he strikes out a lot. And I believe a lot of guys rip us for that and just say like he's gonna live up to it. He's gonna live up. But it's like every year they say Gary looks better than he was last year, and every year he bats like maybe 204 with like how many strikeouts. And I just wanted to know if you had an opinion on Gary Sanchez.
I mean, I don't know that you can overlook that type of bat in a catcher, especially with that kind of arm. You know what I mean? There's a lot of tools there.
That's true. That is
And I
true.
mean, he's shown in the past too that he can do it. So I think
just
it's just
need-
one of
yeah.
those things. Getting healthy, getting hot.
Well, let me ask you this.
60 game season could put up some crazy numbers.
Let me ask you this, Morgan. You're pitching to Gary Sanchez, and he has 3 passed balls in the same inning. Are you going in the dugout and you're gripping him up by his catcher's gear?
Typically, you're not doing him any favors on pass balls. put it closer to the chest.
I mean, he has been. I mean, think of the guys he catches for though: Chapman, Betances, Ohtani, like crazy John, 100 mile an hour. So it is tough on him. I get that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of mental stuff too. You're preparing for all that and keeping those guys happy.
Now, let me ask you, how much time do you take, like studying film? Do you study any film at all as far as looking at your competition you're going to be facing and the level you're at?
Not really. I mean, pro ball in general, with the lower levels, things turn over so frequently, and obviously in the lower levels, it's all about development. So there's guys coming off the bench or getting called up or sent down a level. The lineup's just so different game to game. Obviously, you'll know a lot of names just from college or high school or summer ball. You'll know a lot of the names, but in terms of like how to pitch to specific guys, I think a lot of it's just like using your best stuff.
Now, who determines whether you're a starter or a reliever or what your job's going to be as far as once you get to the organization?
Yeah, it's sort of up to you, to like what your mix is looking like, what kind of pitches you have. If you're a 2-pitch guy, you're probably going to be out of the pen, which is what I was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into this year, there was sort of an emphasis on me adding some pitches to attack lefties with, whether it was a bigger breaking ball that I can kind of get to the bottom of the zone, expand the zone a little bit, or a changeup to sort of move it away from the barrel. Adding a third pitch, I ended up adding 2.
That's awesome.
To add some pitches, obviously, because when you get second, third, fourth time through a lineup, you got to show something other than a fastball slider or whatever your mix is. You need something to change the looks up. So I think it's definitely up to strike throwing too. If you can't command the zone well, you can get away with it in shorter outings out of the pen. But if you got to be a strike thrower and you got to have a couple different pitches.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I just want to say we do appreciate your time. And my last question here for you is, if you get to the pros, what is your dream matchup? Like, what guy have you ever looked at a guy and be like, I would love to pitch against him and see if I can give him my best stuff and get him out?
I think you got to go the best of the best, right? I think I'd love to face Mike Trout and just not even overthink it. Just go with your best stuff and see what he does with it, right?
I think even if he takes you a yard, I think I'd have to giggle. The best guy in
Yeah,
baseball just
no
took me
kidding.
a yard.
Let me ask,
Yeah.
I gotta seriously ask you this. Like, even this goes back to Boston a couple years ago. If you looked at the lineups between Boston and the Yankees, just from top to bottom, there was like no easy out. How intimidating is that as far as you getting the ball on that day, saying, "Hey, here you go. You're getting the pearl. You're gonna go face this lineup."
Yeah, it's crazy for sure. I think there's definitely typically when you're facing a lineup, right, there's an emphasis, especially if you don't know the names of the guys, whether it's college or pro ball, there's typically you're sort of pumping your chest up for the 2, 3, 4 hitters, right? And then when you get to the bottom of the lineup, you're sort of on cruise control. But when you're facing a lineup that's that deep, like there's nowhere for you to take your foot off the gas, and that adds up in terms of like just mentally like keeping your foot on the gas for that long and not being able to take a breath. But I think you also got to trust yourself, right? Like you got to think that it doesn't matter and you're better than everyone in that lineup. And baseball's crazy, right? The best hitters in the world get on base 35% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to trust that you can mow them down.
What do you think of the whole electronic umpire thing that they're trying to bring in?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I'm not like a baseball truther about, like staying with the past, but I kind of like, I mean, it goes both ways, right? You're going to get bad calls, but your team's going to get bad calls in their favor too. I don't know. I kind of like the human element of it.
Yeah,
Me too.
I mean, he's still there, but it's like, what is it, like an earpiece in him where it calls it for him?
Yeah. And it's on
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I've heard it's been inconsistent. Like where did they use it? In the International League or whatever they used it. They were having problems with it. I just think
stop
like
trying to change the game.
Leave the
umpires are pretty good. Much
that's part of the game. Yelling at them and everything. It's part of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. As much bad talk we give them, they're not too bad. They're the best in the world at what they do too.
Yeah. Well, Morgan, we want to thank you so much for taking the time just to chat with us. It's been a blast having you on today and just learning so much about what goes into this whole process.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. Anytime.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely have you on again. We hope you and your family stay safe during these times.
Yeah, we wish you the best, man. We hope everything turns out and you get to go pitch against the New York Yankees.
No doubt,
and then I can sit there and yell at the TV and say, we interviewed this guy.
All right, man.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it, man. Hope you have a good night.
Good deal. Stay safe, guys.
All right,
You
we'll
too.
see
Thanks
you,
a lot,
man.
Morgan.
All right, man. That was 2 great interviews today. We got the inside scoop of what happens with the minor leaguers, what's happening with their season because everything's canceled. That was great. That was great knowledge. We're going to get this up for you guys. Hope everyone stays safe. Sorry, I had some candy.
You know what's funny? This was probably one of the most laid-back podcasts.
I've been trying
We had no notes or anything. We just went off the cuff and
I told him today,
went off
like
really
sometimes
good.
we have these athletes on and we get so nervous and we just try and make them feel as comfortable as they can. I said to him today, I said, you know what? We're very laid back people. We're going to go into this podcast and be goofy and be who we are. If they don't like it, they don't got to come on. And that's what and it was so laid back. Thank God they both were talkers too, because sometimes we get guys on who they're very quiet, just give us no answers. But this has been an amazing time. Noah's girlfriend's at the comp, so the dogs are going to bark. So we're going to end this podcast. We love you guys. Spread the love. This will be up on all our platforms. Continue to show love to people in this world. We love you guys, and we'll see you.